name is Mr. Amir, and welcome to my Arts Integrated lesson. For today's lesson, we're going to learn how to draw a steam engine locomotive during the 1860s. Now, why the 1860s, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you why. The 1860s was the time period where the Transcontinental Railroad was constructed and completed, and this railroad was built to connect the western part of the United States to the eastern part of the United States to make the transportation of goods and the travel of people easier, faster, and cheaper. Alright, without further delay, let's get started. For today's lesson, you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, a ruler, and it's okay if you don't have a ruler. I also do not have one, so I'm going to use this straight parchment paper box. Please make sure that it's not sharp, whatever you're using. Safety first. And most importantly, you must bring your desire to create. Alright, so let's get started. The very first step to making our steam engine locomotive is to turn our paper from vertical to horizontal. We need our paper to be horizontal so that we can fit more of our steam engine, because our steam engine is long this way. Next, we're going to start with a straight line in the middle of our paper, running from one side of the paper to the other side. And this is called our horizon line. The horizon line is where the sky meets land or ocean. This is very important, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Now, if we look at the front of our steam engine, you can see that it starts with a circle. And I'm going to start with a circle that is not exactly placed in the middle of our horizon line. So it's going to be a little bit more on our sky part. And it's very important that we draw lightly, because the lighter we draw, the easier we're going to have of a time erasing. If I draw a very dark line like this, and I go to erase it, it shows up a lot more than if I draw a very light line and then I erase it. See? It disappears. So try to draw as light as possible. After we've drawn our circle, we're going to place a little dot right here. And this dot is what you call a vanishing point. A vanishing point is where objects look like they start to disappear in a drawing. If you're drawing buildings or anything and you have a vanishing point, all of your lines meet at the vanishing point. Now, we're going to take our ruler or our parchment paper container or anything straight, and we're going to line it up with the top of our circle to our vanishing point. And we're going to draw a very light line. This would be so much easier with a ruler, but that's okay. We use what we have. Very light line to the top. And it's okay if it doesn't connect, because we're going to erase this when our drawing is finished. This is just to serve as a guide. Now, the reason we're doing this is because that there is a cylinder shape in the very beginning, and then we have a square and then a rectangle. A steam engine can be broken down into very simple shapes. The part where it gets a little bit more tricky is with the details. So let's just start with the basic form of our steam engine. I'm going to close this shape up with a curved line. And now we have a cylinder. The next step to our steam engine locomotive is to draw the engineer room. And we're going to put a little mark in the middle of our cylinder, because that's where the bottom of our engineer room will be. And we're going to make a rectangle through our cylinder. And you want to know why that's okay? Because we're going to erase this line later on. But just so that we got the shape of our engineer room correct, we're just going to continue the shape all the way. And I've been practicing for years, so I feel comfortable making a rectangle freehand without a ruler. I'm just using this time to practice my straight lines. I'm going very slowly. And even if I mess up, that's what the eraser is for. So I'm going to continue this straight line. Now the part where you really want to use a ruler is when you connect your shapes to your vanishing point. You want that to be as straight as possible. I'm going to connect my rectangle to my vanishing point the same way I did with my circle to make a cylinder. We're going to connect it to the top of our shape, aka the rectangle, and also the bottom of the rectangle. And the same as before with our cylinder, we're going to close up our shape. And to close up the rectangle, we're going to make a straight line just like this, just a little bit this way. And we use this technique to create, you guessed it, a rectangular prism. Now I'm just going to clean up some of these lines so I don't get confused. This inside of the cylinder, I'm going to erase it. Remember, draw lightly so that when you erase it, it doesn't show up as much. And now it looks like our cylinder is connected to our rectangular prism. And one of the final, more basic shapes that we have is our coal/water tank, which is located in the very back. Now if we look at our coal/water tank, you can see that it's another rectangular prism. And we've learned how to create one of those, so let's just go ahead and make another one. We're going to start off with a rectangle that cuts through our other shapes. And we know that we can just erase that later, right? And this one is going to sit just below our engineer room. Time to clean up some of this so it doesn't get confusing. There we go. And same as before, we're going to connect our shape to our vanishing point with a straight line. Top and bottom, like before. And now we close off our rectangular prism. As you can see, the coal tank is a little bit longer than the engineer room, so we're going to extend this line a little further out. And there we have it. We have the basic shape of a steam engine. Our next step to our steam engine locomotive is to do all the accessories. We have the basic shape of our locomotive. Now it's time to start adding some details. This is where it really comes alive. So right over here we have a cylinder, And we already know how to make a cylinder, right? We start off with a circle. Now we're going to connect it to our vanishing point. All the way with a very light line. Okay? Nice. We're going to close that up with a curve of a line. You see? While looking at the steam engine locomotive, you can see that we have wheels. Now, in order for our wheels to look more realistic, the closer an object is to you, the bigger it is, and the farther away it is, the smaller it may appear. Next, we're going to draw the wheels of our train. What good is a steam engine locomotive without any wheels? Okay? So, your first idea might be to draw a circle, which you wouldn't be too far off, but if we take a closer look at the wheels, they actually appear to be ovals. So that's how I'm going to draw it. I'm going to draw it as an oval. And then next, we have the other one right next to it. And this one I'm actually going to draw a little bit smaller, because the further things are from you, the smaller they appear. And since this one is closer to me, I'm going to draw it bigger than the one next to it. But in real life, they are actually the same size. Now, if we look at the water/coal tank, it also has wheels. And it looks like it has 4. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 4. And remember, the further something is, the smaller it looks. So my farthest wheel is going to be smaller than the wheel closest to me. So I'm going to make that big. A little bit bigger. And now it's going to get a little bit smaller as we go along. A little bit smaller, and then a little bit smaller. And then we have our wheels. Next, we have the 2 wheels in the front. Oh, I made a little error right here. That's okay. That's why we're drawing in pencil first. And since we can't see the entire wheel, we're just going to draw part of it. If you'd like, you can draw it through the shape so that you make sure you have the right shape, and then erase it later. Like so. Then we have another one, and since this is closer to us, it's going to be bigger than this one. See, I drew through the shape yet again, and now I'm going to erase it. Now it's starting to look like a steam engine locomotive. Now we're going to finish up the front of our steam engine locomotive. I'm going to draw another circle, but it's going to be off to the side just a little bit and smaller than our original circle. You see? It's closer to this side of the circle than it is to this side. And then we're going to draw an even smaller circle inside of our medium circle. Next, we're going to freehand the bumper in the front. I'm going to start with a straight line. I'm going to make this a rectangle to start off. And I like to do that just so I can get the basic size of the front. Now to get that triangle shape, I'm just going to start from this corner and draw a diagonal line right here, then erase these lines right here. Next up, we have our chimney. Going to start with a box. See, this is the box, but since it's inside of our cylinder, I'm just going to erase that just so that it's clear. And to make the top of our chimney, we just need to make 2 diagonal lines going out. And then top it with a round top. Now if you look even closer, there's a little lip on our chimney. So we're going to go up with a straight line, then another, then close that off with another curved line. When I do my curved line, sometimes I like to imagine it from this side, and then I go from this side, and then I connect them. There's just a few things missing. We need to give our engineer room a door, because how can you get inside of there if there's no door? Just gonna do a rectangle right here, not going all the way to the top, straight line down. Like I said, I've had practice doing straight lines without a ruler, but use any technique you like. Now we're going to draw a window on the side of our engineering room. Now if I were to draw a square, or a rectangle rather, and I draw it normally, you can see right here it kind of looks strange. So what we're actually going to do is, you guessed it, use our vanishing point to make this more believable. So we're going to line it up right here at the top of our square and follow it to our vanishing point, sorry. And then this line as well, the bottom of the right side of our rectangle, or the bottom right. Trace that right there. We're just gonna bring this line down a little more and erase this top part. This way, our window looks a little bit more believable. Nice. There are only a few more details left, and the rest can just be free-handed. Like these 2, what it looks like tanks, there are 2 tanks, and remember, same as before, the one closest to us is going to be bigger than the one that's farther from us. Okay? Now what I'm going to do, and this is completely optional, you can trace your lines with a marker. You just want to take your time to trace these lines. You're not in any rush. Okay? Oop. My easel moved just a little bit, and that's fine. We have our rail guard right here. This one. Oh, it looks like my circle is turning out a little bit different than how I drew it before. And you know what? That's fine. If I wanted to, I can always start over. That's just another chance for me to practice my locomotive. I'll do this one. And something you want to know when it comes to markers, sometimes they're still wet. So you want to give it time to dry before you erase all of your pencil marks. And once again, I'm comfortable doing straight lines without a ruler. If you want to use a ruler, that's great. If you don't, guess what? That's also great. Do my wheels right here. Did you know the two companies that were hired to build the Transcontinental Railroad was the Central Pacific Railroad Company and the Union Pacific Railroad Company? And it took about 7 years for them to complete the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Alright, get my curve line here. Nice. I like the way this is turning out so far. I'm not going to complete that wheel because it's kind of tucked underneath our engineer room. Ooh, that line's a bit crooked. That's okay. Oh, that one's not so straight. Oh no. That is okay. Now I've gone ahead and let my marker dry. So now I'm going to go over this with my eraser and get rid of those pencil marks. And this is mainly why you want to draw very lightly. That way you don't have to press down so hard and possibly smudge the marker. Even if you smudge it, it's okay. But if that's not what you want, take your time, press lightly when you draw, and erase all of those marks. And there we have our steam engine locomotive. Now remember when I told you about bringing your creativity? This is where you can get really creative. Just going to go ahead and redraw my horizon line. See why in a moment. Alright. So now I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. And one of the main details that I'm forgetting is, well, what does a locomotive run on? They run on tracks. So I'm going to draw from our vanishing point one track right there. Make sure it lines up with the wheels and it keeps going across. And then our other one. Now what you may have been taught in school is that train tracks are a set of parallel lines. And parallel lines are two straight lines that if they continue forever, they'll never touch. Now this seems like the opposite. But when two lines go away from you in the distance, it looks like they touch, or what they call converge, which also means to meet. If you take note, I drew only the wheels on one side of the train. The reason I didn't draw the other set of wheels is because you can't see them, because the rest of the locomotive is blocking it. Alright? Now I'm just going to add a few lines going in a different direction to be our railroad ties. This is what keeps the the tracks stuck to the ground. Just going to make it simple. I'm using my straight edge, not sharp, item to help me with the lines, the straight lines. Oops, I went over just a tad bit. I'm going to add some right here. Here we go. And the further these lines are away from us, the closer they are to our vanishing point, the closer they get. Okay, time for the extra creative part. I'm actually going to add a background. You remember how I said the horizon line splits up the sky from the land or the ocean? Well, there's something in between that, which can be the mountains. Now, I'm not going to draw the mountains really big because they're far away from us. And since they're far away from us, they're not gigantic. And if I wanted it to look like it was closer, I'm going to make them gradually bigger. This makes it look like the mountains are closer. So remember, small is far, big is closer. Small is far, big is closer. That's why the front of our locomotive is bigger than the back, because the back is farther than the front. And what is a steam engine without steam? I'm going to make some steam, just some half circles. And since it's going far back, it's going to get skinnier and skinnier to make it look like it's going further away. See, we have a billow of smoke, or steam rather. You can draw any kind of plant you'd like. Me, I think I'm just going to draw some cactus. A couple of unfinished ovals with some lines going through them. And then you have the little tiny needles. I'm not going to get too crazy with the needles, because I think you can tell that's a cactus. And a little bit of foliage at the bottom, or grass. Yeah, I might even throw in another cactus right over here. Now that is just fine. If you want, you can throw in as many cactuses as you want. You could just put one here, over here, however many you like. It's your drawing. I think this should be a sunny picture, because sunshine definitely makes me happy. And there you have it. You have your steam engine locomotive. I hope you enjoyed your time with me just as much as I enjoyed it. And happy drawings. Remember, if you make a mistake, that's okay. That's why we have erasers. And even if you make a mistake like I did right here, no reason to worry. You can always redo it. Just think of it as another chance to get better at drawing a steam engine locomotive.